And right now we're in the Hollywood Hills.
Yes, we just drove down Hollywood Boulevard and we saw like the Walk of Fame and it was so cool. I'm finally the same height as you. Yay!
It only takes a rail and a balcony. That's all it takes.
Exactly.
A rail and a balcony. In a hotel in LA. In the middle of nowhere somewhere. Arizona, Utah, I don't know. But we're in the middle of some canyon. There's a river down. What's wrong with you?
There's something on my foot.
Something's biting Brittany's foot. She didn't bring any shoes, folks. She brought sandals to come to the We're in the Rockies. Rocky Mountains.
I didn't think about needing closed-toed shoes, okay? It is July.
We're grizzly
okay?
bears,
People wear
mountain
flip-flops in
lions.
July.
Alright, so we are currently, right now, driving on Route 66.
Historic Route 66.
Historic Route 66.
On this edition of On the Map, we feed some otters at the Western North Carolina Nature Center and take a look inside our favorite place to stay in downtown Asheville. But first, we learn about the bean-to-bar process of creating chocolate at the French Broad Chocolate Factory and taste the difference at their lounge.
Chocolate is something that we all smile when we eat it, but quite honestly, we can improve people's lives by going and sourcing the beans directly from the farmer. It's kind of the ethos of this company. We're not there to just buy beans off of Amazon, right, and have them show up on our doorstep. We want to go down to the farms, develop relationships, make the connections between the chocolate that we're making and the beans that they're growing on their farm.
Have you ever wondered what creates the difference between a gourmet chocolate experience and enjoying your favorite chocolate bar from the grocery store?
Like most chocolatiers, we used to buy chocolate as an ingredient to use in our confections and pastries. But as our company became more intentional with ingredient sourcing and became more connected with our farmers and the people at the source who are growing our food, we took the next step and decided to open a chocolate factory and import the cacao ourselves and make it from the bean.
A quick tour of the French Broad Chocolate Factory will show you the importance and the difference a bean-to-bar philosophy creates.
We have a large bag of beans here, well over 140 pounds, and when we get them in, we do find some foreign substances every now and then, namely rocks, concrete, gravel, every now and then some feathers, some corn, some coffee, all that stuff we have to remove before we're here to make some chocolate. So, we've got this lovely machine here. It's got two troughs. One has a perforated screen. It's going to do the work for me, so I'm going to throw some beans on the screen, turn on our agitator, and let it start. You're going to notice the beans shimmying and shaking around. A lot of the debris will fall through the bottom. It's going to allow the beans to cascade onto my sorting table. And at this point, we are going to go through every single bean by hand. Much like fruit inspection, when people are trying to pick out the best fruit, we need to make sure we pick out the best beans to make chocolate. Best beans to make chocolate are a perfect example right here. We have a bean that's nice and plump. It's got a lot of girth to it. The shell is intact. This is going to be a bean that we can make chocolate out of. So we will put it in our can, designating our country of origin at the moment. Our company has the pleasure of going to Costa Rica, Peru, Panama, Guatemala, a few other countries, and everywhere we go we find that these beans taste vastly different. So that is our job, is to try to isolate the certain flavors of these beans. We're going to roast these beans off. Our roasted bean, we have a combination of shell and center called the nib. We want to isolate the nib to make chocolate. We want to remove the shell. This stuff is very, very expensive because you can only make chocolate out of this stuff right here. Well, in the crackering and winnowing process, we are going to create a waste stream that's going to have some shells, some fines. Don't have a lot of it in here, but we'll get a good bit here in a moment. But this is some fines at the very bottom here. In that, there's going to be a little bit of cocoa nib, but a lot of shell. That stuff we cannot make chocolate out of. When you remember that M&M's commercial, melt in your mouth and not in your hands, they were talking about, a nice melt of chocolate, which cannot be achieved if you got a whole lot of shell in there. So, now we have our chemistry in action here, guys, because these nibs are pretty magical, right? They're a 50-50 substance. 50% of this is cocoa solids. That's where we get our wonderful hot chocolates, our baking chocolate, all that stuff. Now, if you were to press this like I was doing with an industrial press, you would get the other 50% would come out as cocoa butter, all the oils and the fats. As a bean to bar company, we do not use extra cocoa butter in our single origin chocolates. In our bean to bar chocolate experience, we try to minimize the use of cocoa butter. So we are using the cocoa butter that's only in these nibs in our single origin chocolates. Now, we will add a little bit of extra cocoa butter back in our milk and our couvertures because we need some flow to some chocolate here. But we're going to do it the hard way in the beginning. So, create some noise. We have another chemistry term called polymorphism, changing states of matter. It's exactly what's going to go on in this nib, in that 50% of cocoa butter is going to be drawn out, but we don't want it to go anywhere, we just want to utilize it. And like I said, there we go. Flattened material. This is exactly what we wanted to achieve, this kind of flattened particle size. We don't want to crush them anymore, and thus we have this paste. This paste is quite an amazing substance because now we really have this cocoa butter. You notice now as I make a ball of this material, the cocoa butter actually allows the material to bind together. And I'm telling you, this is how we're going to utilize this stuff to make chocolate. This is the process that we're calling tempering. The cooling and the heating of chocolate is known as tempering, but we also have a computer system in here that's going to regulate how much chocolate flows out. We've got a couple different ways of doing this. We've got bar format, and then we've got the kind of chocolate curtain, chocolate waterfall, and that's how we're going to create that shell that you were just witnessing on those truffles. The truffle's going to have a cream and chocolate center called the ganache center. That's how it's going to get that hard shell on the outside and a soft center. Now, for our purposes, we're about to make a 60-gram bar, so our computer system in here locks in how much chocolate gets dosed out, and it also keeps our temperature in place. I'm going to step on the pedal here. It's going to dose my chocolate in. Now at this point we have lovely chocolate blobs. It doesn't look much like a chocolate bar. We really need to get it in all the nooks and crannies, make sure it gets in all the corners, all the edges. And so we're going to have it agitated through this mechanism. We'll kind of rock the bars back and forth. What we're trying to achieve at this stage is twofold. We're trying to get the chocolate obviously in all the nooks and crannies, but we're also trying to get the air bubbles out. If you ever bitten into a chocolate bar before and there's nothing there, it's because there was air there at one point. So once we get the air bubbles popped, everything looks settled, we'll take this bar and we need to cool it down even further. Now, we are in a very nice cool room, but this very warm chocolate being 83, 85 degrees in that range will never come out of this mold if I let it sit in the room. So here's our last little DIY experience, right? We've got these very fancy tempering machines. Now we need to cool this chocolate. Don't have any fancy machines to cool the chocolate. So we go to our owner, Dan, and we say, Dan, we need your ingenuity. And Dan builds us a shed with an air conditioning on it, but it works wonderfully, right? It's a very cool, functioning, lovely shed that he has built. And we can put the bars in here. They will cool right down, and thus we can knock them out. And I'll show you what a finished bar looks like here. A 60-gram bar of chocolate. And at this point, we're going to hand wrap every single bar, and we're going to ship them out to wherever you live.
The Western North Carolina Nature Center is not just another zoo. It is a wildlife rescue where every animal has its own unique story.
All right, well, hey everybody, welcome to the Western North Carolina Nature Center. My name is Lauren, and the two otters here in this habitat are Olive and Obi-Wan. So this one here, on the left is Olive, and that guy going to the right over there is Obi. And so these are here as our representative North American river otters. And what they're getting for lunch here is pieces of trout. So it is representative of the food that these guys would eat in the wild, but in the wild they eat more than just trout. They eat all kinds of fish, crayfish, snakes, salamanders, insects, really all kinds of aquatic animals. So as cute and as playful as river otters are, they're definitely hunters and definitely predators. And Olive and Obi are here. You know, if you notice that they are really not at all shy, and that's why these guys are here. So Olive, who is the smaller, darker one there on the left, she was born in the wild out at the coast. We don't know what happened to her parents, But what we do know is that she somehow came to be under the care of a human family, and they started to feed her and provide for her. When they realized the mistake they'd made caring for her, they contacted our government agencies that control wildlife, and they got in touch with us, and so that's how she came to be with us. So Obi the male, he was born in a zoo, so he has spent his whole life being cared for by people.
Visiting the Nature Center, you feel as if you are in their habitat hanging out with them rather than the animals being on display for your viewing pleasure. And an added bonus is the knowledge that the donation you give by visiting is used in the animals' continued rescue and care.
So y'all have all kinds of animals ranging from owls to what we saw otters.
Yeah, we have about 60 species of animals, and all of our animals are animals that are considered native to the southern Appalachians. So animals that either currently live in the wild here in the mountains of western North Carolina or at one point have done so. And so we have things like cougars and black bears and red wolves and raccoons and snakes and turtles, really all kinds of native wildlife. Every animal we have here has a story of how it came to be with us. We have some animals, like Art here, who are permanently injured in the wild. You know, Art was born in the wild, he grew up in the wild, and then he got hit by a car. And so he was never able to fly again after that incident, and so he couldn't go back to the wild to do his job, and so he came here to live with us instead and represent his wild relatives. Beyond just him, though, every bird that we have is permanently injured. All of our big animals, you know, they all have their stories, you know, whether they were born in a zoo and have always been under human care. Maybe they were kept as illegal pets, and then people realized the litigation that was involved with that, and so they were turned over. We have other animals here that were imprinted, and so maybe they were born in the wild and somebody accidentally started to feed them, and so the animals became not at all afraid and totally reliant on people, but they're not pets, even though there's still that case. And so when people realize those mistakes, they get in touch with the wildlife agencies, and then sometimes those animals come to live with us. But so it's neat because every animal we have, they get to be here for education, for representing their wild relatives, for appreciation by guests, but they all need our care and help for their own individual protection and conservation. So their names are Pisgah and Mitchell, and yeah, they are brothers, and it's in some places you might think it's odd for their natural history for two adult male cougars to be hanging out together still. Right. But these guys have been together all their lives. So we have no idea what happened to their mother. Really nobody does. Because they kind of appeared at the Oregon Zoo as kittens. So something happened to mom. So they got dropped off at the Oregon Zoo, and then you know, it takes cougar mothers in the wild about 1.5 years, maybe a little bit more, to actually teach their young all the skills that they need to successfully survive in the wild. And so because their mom was not part of the picture, they were never going to learn what they needed to know. So they couldn't go back to the wild. And so they came here pretty quickly, and they've been here ever since. Becca, who is our youngest deer, you know, we give them names, they don't know their names. But I was here when Becca came in, and she wandered into a professional workshop within a couple of miles from here and started licking all of the guys working in the shop as a fawn, like a little deer with spots. And so that is not typical deer behavior, even for a fawn, to go and give everybody kisses. And then she sat on their lap quite contentedly in the truck on the way here. And so they brought her to us so that she could get to a rehabber. But it was determined that she was already imprinted by the time she came here.
Okay, so now we have one of the animals that just about everybody is afraid of.
Yeah, but these guys are actually really great to see and to meet because there's a lot of misconceptions about snakes. We're fortunate here in the mountains that we only have 2 kinds of venomous species of snakes. So we have the copperheads and the timber rattlesnakes. This guy right here is one of our resident black rat snakes. And so like his name kind of suggests, these guys eat rats. But beyond rats, they also eat mice and all kinds of other small animals. And so they do an amazing job actually controlling those small animal populations. But it's nice here for us because we have a lot of animals, a lot of the snakes that live here in western North Carolina that you can see here at the Nature Center, including those 2 venomous species. And so it's nice to kind of get to know them because there's a lot of assumptions out here that all snakes are out to get you. But they actually all have an important job to do and are really most content when being left to their own devices and left to do their jobs. Every family has their own experience here, and it kind of varies what they expect coming into it. But the average visit for folks is about 1.5 hours long, and when families come, they can expect to see animals that are native representatives of their native relatives. In natural habitats, they're going to walk along quiet tree-lined paths between the exhibits. We've got pockets where kids can stop and play along the way. We call them our nature play spaces. We have public programs that happen every day, twice a day, where you can meet an owl, pet a snake, see the otter feeding, or other things. Those programs change day to day. And people can stay, they can come for lunch. The place is fully accessible, so people can bring strollers. So it really varies time to time. So we have some people who just stop in on their way to other places, but other people who come and maybe spend the entire day here.
Back in downtown Asheville is the French Broad Chocolate Lounge, where we are going to taste the chocolate we learned how to create in the factory.
Of course, thanks for coming. You've got chocolates right in front of you, and whenever you're ready, I can guide you through tasting the chocolates you have there. But yeah, I really appreciate you coming and featuring our establishment and our business. We've been in Asheville now since 2006. We moved here from Costa Rica, me and my wife, and we moved to Asheville because it had such an awesome food scene and a great supportive environment for small business, and we felt like we had something to contribute by way of chocolate. So we established a small home-based chocolate manufacturing operation. We made truffles, like you see before you here, except we made them with chocolate that we bought as an ingredient at first. After doing that for a short period of time, we hatched the idea to build a sacred space for chocolate lovers, a chocolate lounge, a place where people can come not just to grab a truffle or a box of chocolates to take home and sit in their bathtub and eat, but a space where they can be with their chocolate and enjoy it, and we wanted to be able to cultivate that whole experience. So we started French Broad Chocolate Lounge in 2008, a block away from here, and just a year ago we moved into this location on Peck Square. When we came back to the States, not exactly sure where we were going to land, but the Carolina mountains just felt like home. So we settled here without very much consideration. It felt right. You could call it farm to bar. You could say cacao to chocolate. In any case, over the years, we really honed our ingredient sourcing, and we used to purchase chocolate as an ingredient to make our confections. Well, as we were pushing the envelope, trying to get better dairy, this whipped cream on the top of this drink, I know the group of farms from which this cream comes. It's a cooperative of organic Amish dairy farmers. We really take care to know where our ingredients came from, but chocolate was the elephant in the room. We didn't really know enough about our chocolate, even though we tried to buy from quality sources. We figured the only way to know conclusively was to produce the chocolate from cocoa beans that we imported ourselves from countries of origin, like Costa Rica, where we used to live. So we set out to make our own chocolate from cocoa beans that we import. And so we are bean to bar. Chocolate comes often in the form of a tablet, so you'd call that bean to bar chocolate. But we are also bean to truffle. This is our holiday collection, represented in its entirety right here. These are truffles that only make an appearance for about 2 months out of the year. And here we have our champagne truffle. It's called a champagne truffle because we use Prosecco, a sparkling wine. We make a reduction in sparkling wine. So it has a little bit of effervescence to it, like champagne. And then we also use a petite champagne cognac, which is it's a brandy that's made in the region of France called Champagne. Really lovely. It's in dark chocolate. And then this one is a fruit cake. And I know that fruit cake can be rather contentious, but and vilified, really. But this is in the spirit of a British style of fruit cake, in which there's a layer of marzipan, which is ground almond paste, and then atop that is a variety of dried fruits blended with dark chocolate. It's currently my favorite truffle, so I invite you to try it.
Well, you pick one. Try it.
I'm gonna try this one. Champagne truffle.
Yep. That leaves you with the fruitcake.
Right.
So pretty.
I love for the fruitcake. But it looks way better than any fruitcake I've ever seen.
That's so amazing.
Thank you.
And you're a chocolate lover. I am personally a white chocolate fan, but maybe this might turn me.
Give it a go.
What kind of nut is on here?
That's a sliced almond. Yeah.
That is really good. It's not like any normal chocolate I've tasted before. Like, it's definitely original. And
Right on. Thank you.
What comes to mind when you hear Renaissance? Art, music, cultural change? Asheville is all about self-awareness, the self-awareness of art, music, and culture, which is why the Renaissance Asheville is a great fit for the heart of downtown and your home away from home in downtown Asheville.
Welcome to the Renaissance Asheville Hotel, located in the center of downtown Asheville, North Carolina. This is our newly renovated lobby, our newly renovated lobby lounge, our gift shop, and front desk. A few of the amenities that we offer here at the hotel is a full-service restaurant. It's open breakfast, lunch, and dinner, with room service open from 6 a.m. until 11 p.m. We have a junior-size Olympic swimming pool, which is saline water. It's located on the second floor. I'm Stephanie Allen. If you'll come with me, I'll give you a quick tour. This is the suite bedroom. It comes with a king-size bed or 2 queen-size beds, the same as with the rest of the rooms in our hotel. We have 276 rooms here. We have the restroom is conveniently located between the suite and the sitting area, and it comes equipped with both a shower and a tub. Along with our guest rooms and our 4 suites, we also offer a presidential suite. In the presidential, we have a large leather sectional sofa, as well as a small kitchenette with your very own Keurig. The bedroom is a large king-size bed with a great view of downtown and a true master bathroom. This is our junior-size Olympic swimming pool. It's located indoors so that you can enjoy it all year long. Thank you for joining us. I hope that you'll visit us soon so that you too can discover something wonderfully new.
A refreshing stay at the Renaissance Asheville will allow you to wake up relaxed and ready to hit the road when your time in the city comes to an end. Did you enjoy this episode of On the Map? You can find previous episodes, bonus content, and subscribe to our newsletter by visiting onthemaptv.com.
to keep up with our crew on the road, like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter at On The Map TV. And remember to never stop exploring.